Hello YouTube and welcome back into another Dare to Game video. Today we're going to be playing Valheim and we're going to be going through all of the boss fights in the game. I'll show you the boss fight itself, I'll kind of tell you what to use, what's the best strategies for taking on each one, what you need to do to even find them. We're going to be covering it all. So if you've caught yourself and you got stuck somewhere in the game and you can't figure it out, well, this video is going to be perfect for you. So let's just dive on in and start off with the Eikthyr. Okay, so the Eikthyr is the first boss that you're going to be able to take on in the game, and this one you can actually do very, very early, and I recommend that you do. So for this one, you're going to want to hunt some deer beforehand, because you're going to need 2 deer trophies. And then you're going to need to go to this altar, which will be located somewhere near your starting point, but if you can't find it, all you have to do is go to that starting point with all the altar shrines where the bird tells you stuff, click on the little stone off to the side, and it'll mark it on your map. Like I said, it's generally very close by. You go there, you put the heads on the altar, and then the fight will begin. For this fight, you're going to want to be armored out as best as you can, and for most people that's going to be leather, but if you kill some trolls at this point, you can make troll hide armor. But in any case, you're going to want some sort of armor, but it's not super important because the Eikthyr is pretty easy to beat. So for this one, as you can see, I'm using a flint spear, which is probably the best weapon you can get before you unlock bronze. Some people will argue for the flint axe, but I like the flint spear because it can hit a little bit faster. But the more important thing you're going to want is a shield. And now for this one, I'm just using a wooden shield, but you could use a wood tower shield. Either one would work because you just have to make sure you block him, because the Eikthyr is a very easily blocked enemy. He literally won't do any damage as long as you have the stamina to block him. So that's why I say do this one as quick as possible, because it's just a way to progress in the game and he's not hard to fight. For this fight, I do recommend that just in case, even though he's easy to fight, and even if you have armor, you get the best food available. So you can eat up to 3 food items in this game to get your stamina and your hit points higher. And so early on in the game like this, I find the best items are cooked necktails and cooked meat, which you'll get from deer or boars, and since you have to hunt deer anyway, you'll have plenty of meat. So do that, and then either berries or mushrooms would be good to supplement the 3rd slot. I chose mushrooms just because I came across a lot of them while hunting deer. Once you've killed the Eikthyr, you'll receive an Eikthyr trophy, which you're going to want to go hang on that stone at the beginning, and you'll also get hardened antlers, which you can use to make your first pickaxe, which is going to allow you to go mine tin and copper in the Black Forest biome and make yourself bronze. And with that bronze, you'll be able to make tools and weapons and advance yourself. So as you can see, I'm just going to hang the trophy up over here. And then we'll be able to use the Eikthyr bonus whenever we want, which just reduces the stamina drain for running and jumping and that sort of stuff. So it's actually pretty good for early game exploration. But that's the first boss. Let's move on to the second. So the second boss is the Elder of the Forest, and this is a big tree-looking Groot-like thing. And for this one, I recommend having bronze armor, a troll hide cape, a good bow. At this point, you'll be able to get a fine wood bow because you'll be able to use your bronze axe to cut down fine wood trees that'll give you fine wood, and then fire arrows because this one's a good one to take out ranged. You're also going to need 3 ancient seeds, which you can get by destroying Grey Dwarf, the mob spawners that you'll find throughout the Black Forest. And you're going to be spending a lot of time in the Black Forest prior to this one because you, like I said, you need to get tin and copper there to make your bronze stuff, but you also need to go down into the catacombs to find the location for the Elder. So while you're down into the catacombs, killing all these, or not catacombs, the burial mounds or whatever they're called, you know, the little dungeons all over the Black Forest, you'll find a stone that will mark the Elder on the map for you. And in my experience, there's usually multiple spots where the Elder is, but he's pretty easy to find that way. And so, like I've said, the best strategy for this one is going to be ranged, because you're going to want to take cover behind the various, either the pillars or the stone, and then just keep shooting them with the fire arrows, because they do decent damage and also the fire damage afterwards. So I found it's the easiest way to take him out. Really, all you have to avoid is the little root things that he pops up, and you can either take him out or just ignore him and run away from him. And then those little moss blasts that he shoots at you. But with bronze armor and higher hit points, it's really not that hard. He's also a pretty easy boss to fight. So for this, at this level of the game, I think that the best food that most people will have access to is going to be cooked lox meat. So if you find a plains biome, you're going to be able to kill some lox and get meat from them and cook it up, and it's actually a pretty good item. And then sausages, and for sausages, you're going to need entrails, which you get from killing draugrs, which will be found in swamp biomes. And I stumbled across my swamp biome very early, and I think that's typically a good experience for most people. Like, most people will do that. And once you've got that and meat and thistles, which you'll find all over the Black Forest, you can make sausages at the cauldron that you can craft. And then, of course, Queen's Jam, which is just raspberries and blueberries, which is really easy to make. So with those 3 items, you'll get your hit points and your stamina nice and high. You get your bronze armor on, your fine wood bow, your any arrows will work, but fire arrows work the best, and then you go take him out. Again, like I said, you need 3 ancient seeds, but once you've killed him, you'll get the Elder Trophy, which you'll hang up at the starting place, and a Swamp Key, which is very important for unlocking Swamp Catacombs, which you'll find obviously in swamp biomes. So you just hang it up, and this one will give you a boost that just speeds up wood chopping, so wood cutting, which is very useful if you're building stuff, because you'll find yourself cutting down a lot of trees. But that's the second boss. Let's move on to the third. Okay, so the third boss is called the Bonemass, and this one is actually, in my opinion, probably the hardest one to fight. And this one is going to be all about swamp biomes. So after you get the swamp key from the Elder, you'll be able to go down in swamp biomes. You'll find these swamp catacombs, which you can go into and mine iron. So at this point, you're going to be able to have all sorts of iron stuff, iron armor, iron weapons, everything. And so one of the things you'll find in these catacombs is withered bones, and you're going to need 10 of these to sacrifice at the altar to summon this boss. And you can find this boss randomly, as I did in my first playthrough, in a swamp biome. But if you're in those catacombs mining the iron anyway, it's very likely that you're going to stumble across one of the little stones that pinpoints his location on the map for you. So once you've done that, it'll be in a swamp biome somewhere, and then you just have to get to it. And like I said, you need 10 of those withered bones. At this point, it's very important to mention that you can take down this boss with either ranged or melee combat, but the ranged combat takes a very, very, very long time because this thing is just a damage sponge. I find the best way to go is blunt weapons, because slash damage doesn't seem to do as much either. But you're going to want the best armor you can get, the best blunt weapon you can get, and I found the Iron Mace to be the best one to get at this point in the game, but you're also going to need good food, and at this point you're going to have those, like I said, cooked lox meat and sausages, and Queen's Jam are probably going to be the 3 foods that you're still most likely the best foods you can make at this point. And you're also going to want to make yourself some health potions and some stamina potions, because you are going to need it. But the single most important thing that you need for this boss fight is the poison resistance mead, because he deals a lot of poison damage. And while you're fighting, you'll actually be attacked by skeletons, which will shoot poison arrows at you. You'll be attacked by blobs, which will do poison damage. You're going to get a lot of poison during this fight. So it's difficult, but you're definitely going to need that poison resistance mead. Another thing that's important to note is, unless you're remarkably good at combat in this game, and I find myself being decent at it in most cases, you will take a lot of damage. So it's going to be important that you have a retreat plan where you can go back and heal. Because, I mean, even in this fight, when I record this boss fight, I think I had to do it 3 times to go back, pop some potions, take cover, and heal. One of the best things about the boss fights in this game at this time is, usually you can do that, and at a certain point they'll stop following you, but they don't despawn or anything, and they don't heal. So if you need to go back off a little bit and heal, generally speaking, you can, and that's what I have to do in this fight. So, like I said, you need that poison resistance. You're going to want the best weapons. I mean, the best blunt weapon you can get, because like I said, blunt weapons seem to kill it the fastest, and the best armor you can get. So once you finally defeated him, and for me this usually takes a decent amount of time because, like I said, he is a damage sponge, and then of course deal with all the other enemies in the area, you'll receive from him a trophy, which, like all the other ones, you're going to go hang up, and a wishbone. And this wishbone is going to allow you to find hidden treasure chests, which you'll find buried all over the map. I often find them along the shoreline, so it's kind of like pirate treasure. And also silver ore veins, which will allow you to mine silver ore, which is going to be huge for advancement in this game. So this one actually gives you a pretty sweet boost when you hang it up on the sacrificial stone here. It gives you just a bunch of damage resistance against blunt, slash, and pierce damage. So I actually use this one a lot when I know I'm going to be doing combat. But that is the third boss. Let's move on to the fourth. Okay, so the fourth boss is called the Motor. It's a giant ice dragon, and this one's kind of a tricky beast, because to get it, you need to have 3 dragon eggs that you can summon it with. So the other ones were easier, you could carry them in your inventory. These ones you cannot, because they weigh 200 pounds each, so you need to have a relatively empty inventory and just carry these eggs up here one at a time. So it's definitely a trick to summon it. But to even find the Motor is sometimes even more of a trick, because you're going to need to go to the stone towers that are going to be full of either draugrs or, in more case, skeletons all over mountain biomes. and in those you'll find a rune that'll tell you where his location is. But in any case, the location will be up on top of one of the biggest snowy mountains on your map. In 3 different seeds that I've tried, it's always been whichever one was the tallest one I found. But of course, it's hard to tell which one's the tallest one you find until you find it. So that can be a trick. But once you have found it, you need to get those 3 eggs up there, which can easily be found all over the mountain in drake's nests, and then get them up here and you'll be able to summon the dragon. For motor, the best way to fight him is going to be ranged. You're going to want the best bow you can get at this game, and for me, that was the Draugr. It's the best bow in the game. It deals great super high damage plus poison damage, and with it I'm using needle arrows. And I already made videos on how to get and make both of those items, so if you want to learn that, go check those out. But then, of course, there's also the armor. And the best armor you can get at this game, for multiple reasons, is going to be what I call the mountain armor. And for this, you're going to need silver, wolf hide, you're going to need to kill a drake because you need a drake trophy. But basically, you're going to be having a wolf skin cape, wolf armor, wolf pants, and the drake helmet. And it's going to offer not only a ton of cold and frost resistance, which you definitely need in this fight because you're up in a mountain, so you're going to need the cold resistance anyway, but also the frost resistance because he shoots frost attacks at you. On the bright side, Motor's pretty easy to fight. He spends most of his time up in the air, and his attacks, although very, very powerful, are pretty slow. So they're decently easy to dodge, and like I said, if you've got a good bow, you could take him out from a distance basically no problem. In addition to the armor and weapons that you're going to want to use, I also recommend having the best food you can have in the game. And by fighting this one, I usually find people are decently late in the game. Obviously, if you're not, you can still use the same food as you used as the last 2 bosses, and I've beat the dragon that way. But for this one, I used lox meat pie, fish wraps, and bread. And so for these, you're going to need, obviously, fish, lox meat, you're going to need barley flour. It's all stuff that you'll, like I said, if you're exploring plains biomes and you're going to find this sort of stuff anyway, then it'll develop naturally. You're also going to want, as usual, to have stamina and health potions, so that way if you do take a lot of damage, you can back off and heal yourself. And the last thing you're going to want is there's a frost resistance mead. Obviously pop that, it's going to help you take less damage. As far as rewards go, you're going to get obviously the motor trophy, which you're going to want to hang up, but you're also going to get dragon tears, which you can use to make the artisan table for your crafting stuff back at your home base. And this is going to allow you to make a lot more things that are a little bit more advanced. So definitely good things in that regard. And then once you've returned back to the starting location, you can hang up the trophy, and like the other ones, you will unlock a special ability. And this one I love. It basically just makes the wind blow wherever you're pointing. So if you do a lot of sailing in this game, which is kind of essential for exploring and getting to different islands, this one is a lifesaver, because if you've experienced sailing, you know that it doesn't always go your way. But if you use this perk, it will. Okay, so the 5th and final boss is called the Yagluth, and for this one, it's going to be all about the plains biomes. First of all, you're going to need to go to the plains biomes because you're going to need 5 fulling tokens, which are these little gremlin-looking things that you can find in fulling villages. Once you've got 5 of those, you also need to find the altar, which, luckily enough, you'll find in a plains biome. It will be located in a plains biome, and so will the rune that will tell you its location. So that is going to be in one of those tall standing stones that you'll see all over the place. As far as armor and weapons goes, you're going to want padded armor at this point. Iron or the mountain armor works, but this is just the best stuff you can get. So for that, you're going to need linen thread. So you're going to need flax, a spinning wheel. You're going to need to be able to make yourself some padded armor. And I like a lox cape at this point in the game just because it looks the best, but it has pretty much the same stats as the other one, so that won't make a huge difference. I find that for this one, this is another one that you could use either melee or ranged. Now obviously range is going to be great because you're going to stay at a distance and not be able to get killed as easily, but it's also not as fast and sometimes can take forever, and you're going to need an awful lot of arrows. So I like to use just the best blunt weapon I can get, which is at this point was Frostner. The Porcupine is also great, but I think Frostner is just a little bit better because it's undead. It's a bone thing, so you get that extra spirit damage, so Frostner is very good. As far as attacks go from the Yagluth, you have to watch out because they are strong. He'll do smash area damage attacks that can do a lot of attacks, and if you take any frost damage, it can freeze you in place, and then you can get just terribly screwed. But you also get burning attack damage from him, and every once in a while he'll summon down a meteor strike on you, which can just completely annihilate your health. So all of this means you're going to need to have your health and your hit points and your stamina as high as possible. So for that, I'm going to recommend blood pudding, lox meat pies, serpent stew, fish wraps, bread, whatever the best stuff you can do. For this one, I did blood pudding, lox meat pie, and serpent stew. And so I've already talked about lox meat pies. For blood pudding, you're going to need blood bags. That's going to be the key ingredient. And you get those from killing leeches in swamp biomes. And then serpent stew, you're going to need to go kill sea serpents. So decently easy considering, I mean, it's not that easy. You have to find the sea serpent first of all, so you have to be sailing out until you find it. And then you have to kill it, and they can be pretty dangerous. But at least the serpent meat floats, so it's harder to lose than the scales. So those are those three, and then obviously, again, I'm going to recommend you have some stamina and some health meads. I have mediums in this case. There doesn't seem to be a high in the game, so medium's the best you can get. But this is another one that if you back away far enough, he'll stop coming after you, and you can heal. And you've got all these stones, which make convenient shields. Now, warn you, he does damage these stones, so eventually they can break down. But I find that system generally works itself out. So once you've completed this fight, which takes forever because man, does this thing have stamina, you get 2 rewards, one of which is the Yagluth trophy, which makes sense. It's going to be like all the other ones. You have to go hang it up, and it's huge. And the other one is the Yagluth thing, which currently is just a placeholder. I don't think it does anything. I haven't been able to find anything, and it's just called a Yagluth thing. I think it looks like the Tesseract from the Avengers, so that's pretty cool. But once you've gotten those things, you can go back to the starting location and put the trophy up, and this one will give you a lot of damage resistance against elemental attacks, so fire, frost, and poison. But that's actually the last boss in the game, and it's pretty awesome. Now, if you've done this, you followed this guide step by step, you should be able to go through from 1 to 5, take them all out. It's obviously not something that you can do right away. I mean, if you're really good, you might be able to kill them early on and without good armor, but it's going to take armor, preparation, good food, good potions, and the right tactics. As far as difficulty goes, it scales up for the more people you have playing, and he will drop more stuff for the more people you have playing. So if you have 6 people playing, I think it's still easier, even though he definitely gets more hit points and resistance, but he will drop the right amount of stuff. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful, but in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.